Well, once again, no Steely today. I am out here in his stead at Riverwind Casino, back in the Buffalo Wild Wings studios. Running the show is the great Grayson Singleton, and we got you for the next 3 hours here on the Ref, the home of Sooner fans. Mr. Singleton, how are we doing on this fine Friday?
What's good, homie? How we feeling? How's it going out there, Riverwind?
Listen, I tell you, we're in a new spot today at Riverwind. It kind of threw me for a loop when I showed up because Plank wasn't here, and so generally when I walk into Riverwind, I see and or hear Plank pretty immediately. So even if we're set up somewhere that differs from the usual rhythm, you walk in, you hear Plank's voice because it carries. He projects well. And so I just go to Plank. But Plank wasn't here. I guess he had to leave early to catch a bus or something. And so I walk in. Our equipment is not set up where it's usually set up. And so I'm completely unclear on where I have to go. And I don't have Plank's voice to guide me. So I had to call Plank frantically and have him walk me through how to get to where our table is set up today. But I made it. We are on the air. No hiccups involved in the process. I'll tell you, Grayson, I feel like the place that we need to start, and we're going to talk a lot about the Crimson Combine, I have no doubt, over the course of the show, because we are on the precipice of what will be the first and potentially the only iteration of the Crimson Combine tomorrow at Gaylord Family Oklahoma Memorial Stadium. But there is a story that is sweeping college football right now, Mr. Singleton. And that is the story surrounding Nico Iamaleava and the Tennessee Volunteers. So, just to set the scene for you, yesterday, and I believe we did discuss this on the show very briefly, Pete Nakos of On3 put out a report that Nico Iamaleava and his representatives were involved and engaged in contract negotiations with Tennessee, and university officials whatever you want to call it, that the powers that be in the NIL sphere at Tennessee were negotiating with Nico and his reps, and that there was a chance he might enter the transfer portal if there wasn't an agreement that both parties arrived at that was suitable on both ends. And immediately what happened was Nico Iamaleava, well, I don't know if Cordell Landers is his handler. I know Cordell Landers is Dominic Williams' handler, of course, a very talented defensive tackle at the University of Oklahoma, with whom all of you are familiar. But Cordell Landers is also tied in with Nico Iamaleava's camp. He immediately hits the Twitterverse, I'm talking within minutes, to rake Pete Nakos and his reporting over the coals. Then Nico Iamaleava's dad, Nick, hits the Twitterverse and says, and I quote, "More games being played off the field than on the field. B-word Nakos from On3 Sports called and asked me directly. I told him I had no idea of what he's talking about. He said his quote-unquote close source that he trusts with his life from the University of Tennessee staff gave him this." So basically, in sum, Grayson, national reporter puts out report that prominent SEC quarterback and his institution are at odds on the terms of his contract and are in negotiations. Said quarterback's family publicly refutes all of it. And then this morning, it comes out from multiple reporters, both local and national, that Nico Iamaleava didn't show up to practice today. And that, indeed, the contract dispute regarding his NIL compensation is very real and very active. And so currently, here's where we're at. I do believe Tennessee plays their spring game tomorrow. They still have a spring game scheduled. They wrap up spring tomorrow with their spring game. Oklahoma obviously wraps up tomorrow with the Crimson Combine. But there's a very real possibility that Nico Iamaleava winds up in the transfer portal when that spring window opens next Wednesday, because apparently he and his camp are not satisfied with what they've been given by the University of Tennessee in regard to NIL compensation. This is where college athletics is at, Grayson. We are seeing what might be categorized as the first ever, first high-profile holdout
yeah,
of the NIL era. Now, there's stuff like this, to be clear, that has gone on behind the scenes and has never made it into the public eye. I know for a fact, per multiple accounts, Quinshon Judkins, when he was at Ole Miss, was threatening to hold out week by week unless the Ole Miss collective gave him a better NIL deal and more compensation during the 2023 season. It was like a weekly occurrence. But none of that ever made it to the public eye as much so as this saga with Nico and Tennessee has. This is not only the biggest story in college football right now, this might be the biggest story in all of sports right now.
Here's where I sit on this. And I had to go back and look up the numbers from Nico Iamaleava's season. He threw for 2,600 yards. Okay, cool. His touchdown-to-interception ratio is 19-5. He had the 36th best QBR, which, again, we talked about raw numbers in college football yesterday, how that can be a little bit misleading. And if you take the FCS guys out, he's probably top 20. Tennessee was one of 5 SEC teams to win 10 games last year, and they made the college football playoff. And based on everything that's come out today, I agree with what Plank said at the top of the 11 o'clock hour. I think this is Tennessee coming to Nico and saying, hey, we want you to have less money. And given where Tennessee was, making the college football playoff, winning 10 games, and Nico pretty much doing what he should in that system. No, he didn't elevate anything, really, but he did what he was supposed to do. Over the last 11 games of the season, he threw 3 picks. If Tennessee is coming to Nico and telling him, hey, take less money, I think Tennessee is out of line here. Because you're not going to go win 10 games, go to the college football playoff, your quarterback turns the ball over 5 times the entire year, and you say, hey, we want you to take less money. When does that ever happen? That not only has it never, it shouldn't happen. So if that is what's going on, I see a lot of people on the text line saying, tell Nico to kick rocks or just put him in the portal. No, Tennessee, if that is the case, Tennessee is out of line here. And it just further underscores the fact that we need definitive signed contracts. Period, point blank, end of story.
Yeah, well, no doubt about that, to be clear. There's a 918 listener on the text line that said, I heard from a buddy connected to Tennessee that they anticipated Nico to enter the portal, and supposedly USC is the school to watch. Yeah, I'll go ahead and say this. As far as I knew, nothing was ever, imminent as far as something coming of it, but I have been told, and this goes back all the way to last spring, I do believe, I've been told repeatedly over the course of the last year that USC has been actively tampering with Nico Iamaleava. Do I know that to be the case? No, not really. Just stuff I've heard secondhand. But, he's from California. USC's in a situation where they certainly would love to have an upgrade at the quarterback position. And so the dots certainly seem to connect, especially with the way that institution has been spending money as of late, particularly to lock down early commitments in the 2026 recruiting cycle. So if Nico Iamaleava were to get in the transfer portal, it would not shock me one bit, not one bit, to see him go to USC. I'd honestly kind of forgotten about all of that USC buzz until just now when I saw that on the text line. But yeah, that's been a thing for a while. There have been USC rumors with Nico Iamaleava dating all the way back to last spring. I want to read you a series of tweets from Chris Lowe, because Chris Lowe is one of the most reputable reporters in the entire Southeast. And he lives in the state of Tennessee. So, Chris Lowe, I take his word as gospel when it comes to this stuff. He fired off a series of 3 tweets earlier today. Tennessee quarterback Nico Iamaleava, amid reports that he wanted to renegotiate his NIL deal, did not show at Friday morning's practice, sources told ESPN, and it was a surprise to Tennessee staff members and players. Iamaleava's rep denied Thursday that there was any renegotiation talk. Here's the second tweet. Iamaleava's reps were adamant Thursday to news outlets that there was no NIL renegotiation going on. But sources tell ESPN there has been growing frustration among the administration and players about the situation, especially when Iamaleava didn't show for practice. Here's the third tweet. Right before the winter portal closed, Iamaleava's reps wanted to see his deal upped to the $4 million range. And again this time as the spring portal opens Wednesday. And according to sources, Tennessee officials said they weren't going to blink. So if Chris Lowe is to be trusted, and personally, Grayson, I do believe Chris Lowe is to be trusted, I think it's quite the opposite from what you had theorized initially, which is
maybe so.
Rather than Tennessee asking Nico Iamaleava to take less money, it sounds like Nico Iamaleava and the people in his corner wanted more money out of Tennessee. And the harsh reality is that there probably isn't a player in college football right now that is worth $4 million. I can't think of one. Because at that point, that's taking up, like, let's say you're one of the more luxurious spenders. Let's say you are one of the more well-endowed NIL collectives in the country. You have one of the more well-endowed NIL collectives, and you're willing to spend and able to spend in the range of $20 million. That's 20% of your payroll for one single player.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, no, I agree with that. And also, if Chris Lowe is reporting accurately, which there's no reason for us to theorize that he's not, then my stance on that flips. You know, when information changes, your opinion can change. I don't think Nico Iamaleava performed to where he needs a raise. But if it is the flip side and Tennessee's coming to him and asking him to take less, then they're out of line. I mean, why can we not live in this neutral situation where, you know what, let's just keep it how it is? Iamaleava should not be asking for a raise because he wasn't that special. But he shouldn't have money taken off because of what he led the team to do. So if Iamaleava is saying, hey, I want a deal in the $4 million range, you're right. Nobody's worth $4 million in college football. That's bad allocation of resources. So if he's going to demand that, Tennessee would probably be in the right to say, okay, test what your market is out there. See if somebody's going to give it to you. If somebody gives it to you, more power to them. But it's not going to be us. And they would be totally on base for doing that.
A 405 listener says, can you imagine being a decent QB and going through your entire spring as the starter only to be replaced in the fall? I'd imagine Lincoln Riley is actively lying to his quarterback, saying he is the guy and they aren't tampering. The NIL era helps a few, but hurts a lot more. Puerto Rican Sooner mentioned that Jeremiah Smith might be a $4 million man. I'll grant you that if there is a player that's worth $4 million in college football, I'd probably say it's Jeremiah Smith. And Chris from Knoxville, Tennessee, mind you, says Chris Lowe doesn't report that stuff unless a bridge is about to be burned, too. So it very much seems, Grayson, like there's no redeeming this situation. There's no reconciling this situation between Nico Iamaleava and Tennessee at this point, because I think Chris is exactly right with that text. At a certain point, you know, when a guy who is as invested in that particular market in that region of the country, and the SEC conference as a whole, and is respected and is well-sourced in that realm as Chris Lowe is, when he is getting in the middle of it with some very, very polarizing tweets and information that's getting out there in the public eye, something's about to break. Something's about to give. And it doesn't seem like at this point that Nico Iamaleava is going to be back in Tennessee this fall. I also just think it's hilarious. Like, what a gross PR miscalculation for dad and handler to come out on Twitter and try to start a war over reporting that is validated objectively and blatantly within 24 hours. Like, this is the one thing I don't understand. Why do you feel the need to go on Twitter and put a reporter on blast if you know good and well Nico's not showing up to practice tomorrow? over this whole holdout negotiation deal?
It's a terrible move. It's a terrible move. It's a visceral reaction. It's one that's not well calculated. I don't know. I don't know why you would do that, because all of a sudden when somebody seems reactive, Parker, in these sorts of situations, when you get reactive, you forfeit a lot of leverage when you demonstrate that you can be that emotional. So no, I mean that's not going to that's not going to play well in their favor at all.
Well, and here's another text from Chris in Knoxville. Even if all the reporting is somehow not true, how is this salvageable? Vol fans will be ready to throw mustard bottles at him after a bad game. Yeah, like what Tennessee fan is going to take Nico's side at this point? And moreover, when you come out and try to fight fire with fire and dad and handler are tweeting up a storm saying that the reporter's full of crap, and then it comes out the next day that the reporter was on the money about everything he put out there, regardless of what is true and not true, ultimately, Grayson, what it makes this look like, what the casual observer will see this and decide is that Nico's quote-unquote representatives, his whole circle, his camp, they're a bunch of two-faced liars. Again, whether that's true or not, that's what the casual observer sees right now.
Sure. Sure, and you are well within your right to see that. I'm not going to argue with that. And, let me be clear on this stance because these texts are still coming in. Look, if Nico is asking for this raise, which it kind of seems like it is now, then Tennessee should stand pat and call his bluff and see if somebody else wants to go pay him that money. I 1,000% believe that, but I don't think Tennessee should go to him and ask him to take less. But in terms of this, here's what you have to realize, Parker, and I think college students, these college athletes and their families and their agents are going to get better at this as time continues to go on. They're going to get better at playing this poker game with them and not showing desperation and not showing being overly emotional and whatnot, like what the people around Nico have been, because they have misplayed the situation badly. Very, very badly. And look, if he ends up at USC and USC gives him $3.5–4 million, cool. Go for it. But if asking Tennessee, after you were a little bit better than good, there's an NFL quarterback that comes to mind when we're talking about this, but asking Tennessee for that much money is absurd.
In the words of Kenny Rogers, you got to know when to hold them, know when to fold them. And you're exactly right, Grayson. Nico, or whoever it is that is pulling the strings in this whole process, played their hand very poorly throughout this whole ordeal. Okay, we are due for an opening timeout here on STEELMAN and THUNE at noon. We'll talk about the Crimson Combine coming up. We will check in at some point throughout the show with Mike Steely from the comfort of his couch at Steely Manor. He's covering the Masters for us with a pimento cheese sandwich in hand. We're going to have our weekly chat with Brandon Drum at 1:20 p.m. So you can look forward to that in the 1 o'clock hour of the program. So much more to come. We're just getting started. Keep it right here on The Ref, the home of Sooner fans, and we will return.
Every day, innocent families share the road with massive semi-trucks. The safety of everyone depends on trucking companies to hire careful drivers. But when trucking companies ignore red flags and hire dangerous drivers, the results can be deadly.
Reckless hiring practices put bad drivers on the road. Just last year, 5,700 large trucks were involved in a fatal crash. One bad hiring decision, one unsafe driver can change a life forever.
These tragedies are avoidable. Companies must be held accountable for reckless hiring practices that put all of us at risk. If you or a loved one has been affected, call McIntyre Law.
Considering refinancing your mortgage? Now might be the perfect time to start planning. With rates on the move, Stride Bank can help you determine if you may be able to lower your monthly payments, shorten your loan term, or tap into your home's equity. Stride's expert mortgage advisors will work with you to tailor a solution that fits your needs. With local roots and national reach, Stride Bank is your go-to partner for all your banking needs. Stride Bank, your trusted financial partner since 1913. Find out more at stridebank.com. Stride Bank, member FDIC, equal housing lender.
It's time for your certified most accurate forecast from KOCO 5 First Alert Weather. Brought to you by Cavens Group. Do you have a water emergency? Give Cavens a call at 405-573-3048.
From the First Alert Weather Center, this is meteorologist Jonathan Condor with your KOCO5 News weather forecast. A little cool out the door this morning. We'll have a sunny sky, a light north wind today, 5 to 10 miles an hour, with highs in the mid-70s. Then for tonight, light and variable winds, overnight lows near about 48 degrees for Saturday morning. Saturday afternoon, a little warmer, sunny, high near 80, south winds 20 to 30 miles an hour. Then hold on, it'll be a lot hotter, highs near 90 degrees by Sunday afternoon.
That was your certified most accurate forecast from KOCO5 First Alert Weather, brought to you by Cavens. Did you have a water emergency that you fear might turn into mold? Give Cavens Group a call at 405-573-3048 or visit cavensgroup.com today.
Make it rain this April at Riverwind Casino.
With big wins and even bigger jackpots. Enjoy the sweet smell of money in the non-smoking oasis.
Get hyped on nearly 3,000 of your favorite electronic games.
Become a legend in the high-stakes lounge.
And get rewarded like the VIP you are when you use your wild card.
Hit nothing but net with the $80,000 Spring Spins and Wins giveaway.
So thunder up and win like a champion, only at Riverwind.
Speaking of technology, did you know that RK Black is an authorized dealer for Kyocera copiers? And the Kyocera copiers aren't just copiers. They're smart devices that can scan, print, fax, and email your documents with ease and security. Even better, they're backed by RK Black's award-winning service team that is built on nearly 70 years of taking great care of our clients. Whether you need a desktop printer or a multifunction copier, RK Black has the right product for you. Let's get the conversation started. Give us a call at 943-9800 or visit us at rkblack.com.
At Confidence Ford of Norman, we believe in living up to our name. Our commitment to confidence is in everything we do. Whether you're searching for the perfect vehicle from our extensive selection of new Ford models or pre-owned cars, our dedicated team will help you every step of the way. Because with us, you're family. We're conveniently located at 825 North Interstate Drive. Confidence Ford of Norman, a Cavender Auto family dealership where confidence is Cavender.
Get hurt in the game? We tough it out. Feel exhausted? We push on. Feeling down? We pull ourselves up by the bootstraps. But there are times when bootstraps aren't enough. When stress gets to us and we need to talk to someone about what we're really going through. So we're going to reach out because sometimes mental health is not a one-person job. Visit loveyourmindtoday.org. That's loveyourmindtoday.org. Brought to you by the Huntsman Mental Health Institute and the Ad Council.
I'll say this. I don't know Pete Nakos personally. We follow each other on Twitter, but I mean, that's the case for a lot of people that work in this industry that have never shaken hands or spoken. It's good to see him vindicated today. Because, I tell you, Grayson, I've been in the crosshairs of situations like this before, and it's uncomfortable. And guess what? In the 24 hours that precede, well, maybe 20-ish, the 20-ish hours that preceded the news that Nico Iamaleava did not attend practice this morning at Tennessee, Pete Nakos was getting flamed, absolutely demolished by Tennessee fans and more broadly college football fans. Because if given two options, if given two alternate, well, I don't even want to call them alternative facts. If you're given two narratives, one from the family of a player or the representation of a player, and one from a national reporter, and you are in particular, if you're a fan of the team that player represents, who are you going to believe?
Naturally, the family.
You're going to believe the family because you're going to want to believe the family. You're going to want to believe that your quarterback and his folks are dealing in good faith with the institution, and there is nothing to see here, and it's all being overblown and exacerbated by some reporter who's just clickbaiting for attention. Which, by the way, there are so many people who use the word clickbait and have no idea what it actually means.
Yeah.
I believe it's Josh Pate that periodically puts out the tweet Reminder, anything you disagree with on the internet is clickbait, but that pretty much sums up what a lot of people will attach the clickbait label to. However, when you are a reporter and it is your job to pursue the facts and it is your job to tell the truth inasmuch as you are aware of the truth, inevitably what's going to happen is that at some point along the line, especially in the NIL era, you're going to report some very inconvenient truths that a lot of people would not like to believe, will not like to believe. This has happened to me on occasion. Most recently, it happened last spring with a kid who coincidentally is now at Tennessee. I don't know if you recall this or not, Grace, and I think this is shortly before you joined the staff at the Ref. Oklahoma was recruiting a kid from Elgin, Oklahoma.
Mm-hmm.
Well, he actually wasn't from Elgin, Oklahoma. He was from, I think, North Carolina is where he had lived previously. But kid had just moved to Elgin, Oklahoma to play his senior year of high school. It was an offensive lineman named Anthony Ogumaro. And Oklahoma made an offer to him in March, started recruiting him, got him on an official visit for the spring game, and come May, it had become apparent that he was going to wind up at either Oklahoma or Tennessee. Oklahoma was on track to get Ogumaro. Everything seemed fine and dandy up until the final days of that recruitment when things kind of took a turn. And so I reported the facts of the shift in that recruitment as best I knew the facts in talking to people with firsthand insight into that situation, people who were directly involved in the process. And I tell you, I don't know that I've ever gotten blowback like that with any case other than the Williams-Winery recruitment, which I don't even want to reflect on. That was an entirely different can of worms. That was one of the most miserable weeks of my life, particularly because Missouri fans absolutely suck, and they're some of the worst people. But it was a similar deal where I reported a certain set of facts that no doubt probably didn't match the narrative that the family and the circle would have liked to have out there about the way that recruitment went down. And so the dad called me out on Twitter. I had other family members that were blowing me up over it. And ultimately, you know, what can you really do in that circumstance? Because, you know, if you're a Tennessee fan, you're going to believe the side of the story that comes from the family of the kid that just committed to Tennessee rather than the Oklahoma reporter. And so there are people that are going to believe you, and you won't be able to change those people's minds, and there are people that are going to believe the other party, and you're not going to be able to change those people's minds. It's one of the perils of the profession, and it's situations like those that make this profession really, really difficult to navigate at times. So generally speaking, I will say there's never any concrete resolution to sagas like that. I mean, to this day, I guarantee, and it's not something that's been talked about since, I don't know, the last week of May last year, but like I guarantee to this day, if you were to revisit the Anthony Ogumaro recruitment, there will be people that believe this side of the story that I presented, and there will be people that that believe the side of the story that comes from Ogumaro and Tennessee and his family and all of that. And that's fine. You know, it is what it is. Water under the bridge at this point. It's long past, and we have more relevant things with which to fill our time these days. But my point is, especially when you're dealing with stuff that's never disclosed to the public, i.e. contractual details and negotiations that happen behind closed doors, no one ever actually knows the truth of the matter. I should say the public never actually knows the truth of the matter. They're presented with facts, oftentimes facts that conflict, and they have to decide what's true and what's not. But in this particular case, with Pete Nakos and with Tennessee and with Nico Iamaleava, it became very clear this morning what was true and what wasn't. So, Pete, I know you're not listening, but good on you. Good on you for standing by what you reported. good on you for getting to the bottom of the whole situation and being unafraid to report inconvenient truths. I am glad that you were publicly vindicated today.
I mean, look, Parker. I mean, you've learned it. Everybody in this business learns it, that you've got it. In this industry, you probably have to have some of the thickest skin. Because, I mean, anything you say and put out there is on a public sphere for anybody to come out here and call you whatever. I mean, I learned it about this time a year ago when a caller into my radio show called me a communist. So, I mean, true story. True story. I have been called that multiple times.
Wow.
But you just gotta, if you know your research and your information is good, hopefully you get vindicated for it. I'm glad Pete Nakos got his vindication 24 hours later. Some people have to wait a little bit longer, but I mean, that's the nature of being in a public business like that.
I know I said I wasn't going to reminisce on the Williams-Nwaneri recruitment, but I will, because that's another instance where even when the truth does become apparent at a certain point, your image is already just so irreparably damaged, because I will never be welcome in Columbia, Missouri, Grayson. Missouri fans hate my guts to this day, because at the time when Williams-Nwaneri decided between Missouri and Oklahoma and decided in favor of the Tigers, I reported at the time via some very good sourcing, hey, this recruitment swung late primarily due to money and the desires of less so the kid, more so his family. Missouri fans crucified me and wouldn't leave me alone for months and months and months. Some of them still haven't left me alone. I generally don't block people on Twitter. I've had to block a lot of Missouri fans because it's just some of the most obnoxious. Like 10 months after the fact, I'm still getting Missouri fans in the comment section of tweets that have nothing to do with any of that going, oh, Williams-Nwaneri coming to Oklahoma, or stupid stuff like that. And then what happened in December? Williams-Nwaneri leaves the University of Missouri to go to Nebraska and reunite with his high school coach, Jamar Mosey, because, as I reported at the time, Williams-Nwaneri really didn't want to be at the University of Missouri in the first place, from what I understood. But again, neither here nor there. What's done is done. Glad Pete Nakos was vindicated today by all of the facts that emerged surrounding Nico Iamaleava's situation at Tennessee. To the Knippelmeyer Chevrolet text line, Jeff from OKC says, my NIL manifesto, hope it makes sense. I have always felt that an educational opportunity was missed in the whole NIL era. It should be about how much money one can earn rather than how much one will earn. Teach these kids how to manage money and how to find opportunities to make money off their name, image, and likeness. Teach them how to best brand themselves and show how their performance on the field, court, or diamond can enhance those opportunities and prepare some for the next level if they go pro.
I think that is a very nuanced thought, and I agree with you. I wish there was more financial education for a lot of guys. Hell, I still need it, and I'm still trying to get better at that. But here's the part that I think that misses out on, is that for years, especially having been underscored by the House ruling last year with the antitrust lawsuit, for years, this has been an institution that has been built on something that the legislative branch in the judicial branch of the United States of America has now deemed illegal. And I still will hold to the opinion until I die that, yes, you should be able to make money off of your name, image, and likeness, sure, but that these people need to be paid as employees. That is one stance I will not amend. So you're correct there. But I think there's more after it. And what's come after it, yes, it's been haphazard, it's been chaotic, and it's thrown us into a complete cluster mess. But it still needs to happen.
Gunny of Stutzman Army with the correct take on the Knippelmeyer Chevrolet text line. NIL is a hoe. Okay, I think we've done enough talking about NIL for this hour. I would hope, if you guys want to keep having this conversation, by all means, we'll keep having it. But I do want to shift our focus to the Crimson Combine, because that is what is happening. That is the newsworthy item of the weekend ahead in the realm of Oklahoma football. So We already got one text from Jay in Tulsa on the text line saying, "It's Crimson Combine Eve. I could not be more excited. The anticipation is palpable. Ha ha." Which I fear is representative of the emotions of quite a significant contingent of this fan base in preparation for the Crimson Combine. But nonetheless, very curious to hear all of your thoughts and opinions on the matter. So if you want to weigh in on the Crimson Combine, shoot us a text, 405-651-3439 on the Knippelmeyer Chevrolet text line. Very simple yes-no question for you. Are you attending the Crimson Combine or not? We'll dive into the Combine, what it will bring tomorrow, and whether or not we can expect it to be met with rave reviews on the other side of the weekend. Keep it right here on the Ref, the home of Sooner fans. We'll be back in a moment.
Dustin Dvorak here. Do you eat, sleep, and breathe football? KREF is the only place for the most comprehensive daily analysis of Sooner and college football. We are the football experts. We're the home of Sooner fans. Download the KREF app and listen from anywhere.
The Ref is the home of Sooner fans and is once again your home for chaos. Every game-changing hit.
Long fly ball to left. Track. Whoa. Gone.
Every strikeout.
Got him. Swinging.
Every defensive gem.
He caught it. He caught it.
Every game. All year. The Ref has you covered.
Catch Sooner Baseball as they host Vandy this Friday at 7, Saturday at 4, and Sunday at 2 on the Ref and the KREF app.
OU softball, baseball, and gymnastics offer great opportunities for you to get out for some exciting action and support your Sooners. Going to an OU event or game? Balfour of Norman on Campus Corner invites you to stop by and get some new OU gear. Whether it's a softball jersey with your favorite player or just a new lucky shirt or hat to wear to the game, Balfour has everything you need to be in style and showing your colors. Cheer for the Sooners in the best and newest styles in Sooner sportswear. Locally owned for more than 45 years, Balfour continues to be Sooner fans' favorite OU store and has everything you need. Balfour has the latest styles and fashion trends for men, women, and children. You can find something for every Sooner fan. When it comes to hats, they have you covered with more than 100 styles to choose from. Even OU socks, so you're literally covered from head to toe. Graduation is right around the corner. They have OU diploma frames in stock. Or you can always get a gift card so they can choose the perfect gift for themselves. Come see us on the corner or shop online at crimsonproud.com, where you will find everything Sooner.
The Artesian Hotel Casino and Spa in Sulphur is the perfect getaway, nestled within a community rich in history. Stay in our luxurious hotel or treat yourself to our world-class spa facilities. Enjoy fine dining in our restaurant or try your luck in the casino. The shops at the Artesian offer upscale boutiques with a wide array of items to choose from. We have something for everyone. Plan your getaway on the Artesian website or call for details at 855-455-5255. The Artesian Hotel Casino and Spa, 1001 West 1st Street, Sulphur, Oklahoma.
Are you, your family, or company looking for a locally owned and trusted management group? Carlsbad Management Group is an owner, developer, and manager of high-quality apartment communities in Oklahoma. They are a locally owned and operated management company for apartments and self-storage units. They are committed to providing exceptional apartment homes, customer service, and increasing the value of multi-family communities under our management. If you would like a free management quote today, call Carlsbad Management at 405-701-1411 and be part of the Carlsbad family.
You wanted to be cool, which led you to smoking, which led to a pack a day. Then you met that special someone, which led to starting a life with them, which led to wanting to live longer, which led to quitting. Then you heard you may be at risk for lung cancer, which led you to getting a low-dose CT scan. If you smoked, get scanned. Talk to your doctor and learn more at savedbythescan.org. Brought to you by the American Lung Association and the Ad Council.
Are you in need of purchasing your own health insurance? Are you turning 65 and confused about Medicare? Are you an employer looking at offering benefits to your staff? Call the agents at Allison Insurance. They'll sort through the confusion. They're not captive to just one company, and they'll get the best option for you. Don't get frustrated. Call Allison Insurance at 800-580-5587 or 745-2968. Allison Insurance. They are the experts.
Whether you're celebrating a special occasion, desire a great postgame, or after-work dining experience,
the Ranch Steakhouse is the winning choice. At Ranch Steakhouse, we're grilling up the best USDA prime steaks in Oklahoma. Juicy, flavorful, and cooked to perfection. Pair that with an unbeatable atmosphere, a killer drink selection, and a wine list of over 400 personally curated bottles. Whether you're toasting the game or winding down after a big day, Ranch Steakhouse is where champions eat.
Oh boy. Grayson Singleton, our YouTube producer Blake Gamble, has polled the viewing audience on YouTube. And thus far, not a ton of votes in, but a decently substantial amount, enough to make an early judgment. Literally 100% of voters on YouTube that have submitted a response have informed us that they are not going to be at the Crimson Combine tomorrow. The question that Blake asked the YouTube audience was quite simple. Will you be at the Crimson Combine? Same question I asked at the end of last segment. Thus far, 100% of respondents have said no. 100%. Now, we do have some folks on the Knippelmeyer Chevrolet text line that are excited, which, by the way, I guess I should probably mention before we move any further, I am out here at Riverwind Casino today, as I am every Friday, obviously right off of I-35 and Highway 9. If you're in the vicinity, you know it, you've seen it, you've driven past it, you've probably stopped here on occasion. Riverwind Casino is Oklahoma's premier gaming destination. The best live music in the OKC Metro, 3,000 electronic games, table games, bars, and dining options. Riverwind is always a good time. So make your way out to Riverwind Casino before the end of the day. Teddy Lehman will be out here after I am. So if you don't want to come say hi to me, come say hi to a Buckus Award winner in Teddy Lehman, Fort Gibson's finest. But we do have some texters on the Knippelmeyer Chevrolet text line, Grayson, that I think my brain just had a seizure.
Excited.
Expressing excitement about the Combine. Kyle from Salisaw, for instance, says, I'm actually extremely excited to take my son and wife to Norman for the first time tomorrow. I just need to find out how to get my son as many signatures as possible. And that to me, Grayson, is kind of the one thing that objectively, without question, you can get excited about at the Crimson Combine. If you're a parent of kids, right? If you got young children, especially children, like we all remember how we were at age 10, 11, right? You're so stoked about getting to meet some of your sporting idols, which, let's be honest, if you're a young kid growing up in or around Norman, Oklahoma, you idolize the members of the Oklahoma football team that you watch every single Saturday. So to meet those guys, to get autographs from those guys, that's going to be a really cool experience for the kids. For the adults, on the other hand, Grayson, my primary fear here, and it's a fear that's been reinforced in having conversations with a variety of different program sources, program-adjacent sources, and also just polling people that I know across the Oklahoma fan base that make it a point to travel in for events like this. The spring game in the past certainly has been an event that has driven a lot of out-of-state pilgrimages, if you will. There are people who will travel from all over the United States to Norman to watch Oklahoma's spring game every year. It is an annual tradition for many. Are you going to have that same level of reverence for and feel the same level of necessity in seeing the Crimson Combine as opposed to the traditional spring game? Because we've gotten details from the university on everything that the Combine is going to offer and some of the cool ways that they're going to try and drive fan interaction and just make sure that the price of attendance is worth it for many fans. But even so, it's not the spring game, right? It's not 60 minutes of competitive football. And so I think it's fair to wonder and I honestly think it's fair to assume a conclusion here, you're probably not going to get nearly as many fans coming from beyond state lines to watch the Crimson Combine as you would have gotten in years past for the spring game.
And that's fine. And, I mean, that's the unintended consequence of canceling a traditional spring game. I do think the kid point is hilarious to you because, as all of you guys know, I went to see Thunder Lakers on Tuesday, and I'm 23 years old, and I was still huddled around that tunnel waiting for Luka and LeBron to come out, as if I was a 12-year-old. So, hey, man, like I'm still there too, and I think this is going to be a good day, and I'm glad you spun it this way, Parker. It is still going to be a good day for kids, man, to be able to potentially. I don't know if is there field access for everybody. I don't know the logistics of all of that, but being able to get close up to what you watch on TV and have those opportunities to do some of those things that you see some of those players do and maybe interact with them as well. I mean, just from a human perspective, it actually might be a really, really good thing for with this Crimson Combine. It'll feel fulfilling to a lot of people as well if everything goes to plan. So look, I'm all here for it. Obviously, we want a traditional spring game, but in terms of the positive that can come out of that, that's it right there. You hit the nail on the head.
So here's what we have. What's going on? I'm on the radio right now. Can we talk in a second? Give me a minute here. So here's what we have for the Crimson Combine tomorrow, if you're unfamiliar with the details. The Sooners are going to hit Owen Field at approximately 12:45 p.m. for warm-ups, and the practice will run from 1 to 2:30. It will include a skills period, 7-on-7 work, offensive and defensive lineman one-on-one competition, half-line drills, a special teams period, and more. Fan engagement activities will also be incorporated and include a kicking contest, punt-catching competition, closest to the pin throwing contest, and more. I'm reading directly from the press release here. Upon drills completion at approximately 2:30 p.m., OU players will sign autographs for fans in the stadium's south stands for 1 hour, while the north end of Owen Field will open for the Party in the Palace. Interactive inflatables, a Jordan Brand shoebox retail shop, and beer garden will offer activities for fans of all ages, while the Sooner Schooner and select trophies will be on display for photo opportunities. The event will conclude at 3:30 p.m. Gates open to the public at noon. So, if you missed the update midweek, Oklahoma did decide to add another half hour of drills and skill work. They decided to extend it by 30 minutes to, and I quote, incorporate additional standard practice drills that will result in higher competition level among players. So apparently there's going to be some 7-on-7 stuff. There's going to be O linemen on D linemen. And then obviously when they wrap up all of that at 2:30, players are going to sign autographs on the south end of the field. So that's just to bring you up to speed if you are, as of yet, unfamiliar with everything that's going to be occurring tomorrow at Owen Field. And Grayson, yes, I just experienced one of the perils of doing live radio.
That was funny.
From Riverwind Casino
That was funny
or
as hell.
any other venue, I might add. I mean, the guy walked up and tried to initiate a whole conversation with me as I'm talking with a headset on. And I couldn't even hear what he was saying because, these headsets have the big earmuffs on them.
Uh-huh.
So I couldn't hear anything he was saying. I had to take one earpiece off and very quickly realized, okay, this has nothing to do with what I'm doing. I don't know if he thought I was a DJ or what, but yes, Steely talks about interactions like that all the time. I'm sure that given that he is generally the one here at Riverwind on Fridays, he has to deal with it a whole lot more frequently than I do. But, yeah, that was interesting, wasn't it?
I mean, it was certainly interesting. This is when I first came over here and started calling 6A sports. One of the reasons I loved it more than calling 2 and 3A sports like I was doing before is because people couldn't hear what I was saying. Now, I don't really care if you hear what I'm saying. I care about some people having no social skills to know I'm on the radio or on a streaming website And you don't need to look at me and say whatever comes to your mind because of, like, don't interact. Like, the fact that I am away in a press box, away from people, is so much better that they do not have access to me to do exactly what we just caught on these airwaves.
Oh, boy. To the Knippelmeyer Chevrolet text line we go. Tim from Nebraska says, hey, Parker, I'm making the 12-hour round trip. Good on you, Tim from Nebraska. 12 hours. Whereabouts are you at in Nebraska? If it's 12-hour round trip, that's 6 hours each way. I'm going to say you're in Lincoln. Let me know if I'm right or not. Kyle from Salisaw asks, where would the best place be to get my son as many autographs as possible, guys? Help a dad out. I haven't been to Norman in 6 years, sadly. Wish I had something for you, Kyle. I don't. I would hope that there's a lot of direction provided at the event tomorrow, but there's nothing in this press release, nothing that we've been passed along that would indicate where might be the ideal place to stand, the ideal place to just hang around in order to maximize autograph opportunities. Tim from Nebraska says Stromsburg, Nebraska. That's out there in the central portion of the state. Okay, so I was incorrect. But Stromsburg, we got a listener in Stromsburg. That's awesome. Bumpy Road says, my friends and I are all staying in the 918 until OU gets it right. We won't be back down for the quote-unquote Crimson Combine. S. Rob Booman says, I doubt very many people outside of the OKC metro area will attend the Crimson Combine. Yeah, and Grayson, this is kind of the primary lament that I've heard in talking to a great many people about the Crimson Combine experience is, you lose the pageantry of the spring game. And look, we all kind of understand why Oklahoma felt the need to shift away from a traditional spring game this year, and they're certainly not the only institution that's done that, far from the only one. But the spring game, as I mentioned a couple minutes ago, has been a long-standing tradition for a lot of people, something that they have made regular trips back to Norman for, even if they live way out of state. I recall reading a text a few weeks ago from a listener in California that said they'd come in for the last 20-something spring games, but wouldn't be coming in for the Crimson Combine. Brian in Bixby says, I'm going to travel to ESPN Plus to see it. I am very curious. And, look, Toby Rowland and Teddy Lehman and everyone on the OU radio broadcast, they're outstanding. We are blessed to have some fantastic, incredibly talented people bringing us coverage of Oklahoma football every Saturday. I am very interested to see what the broadcast of the Crimson Combine looks and sounds like, because there's not really a precedent for this. It's not like Toby, in preparing to call the play-by-play, can go watch game tape on something like this.
My guess is that
it really doesn't exist.
My guess is it looks like what Rich Eisen and them do for the NFL Combine. My guess is that it's gonna be some kind of something like that. By the way, a texter from the 405 called me antisocial with a laughing face emoji. Hilarious.
Oh, Tyson from Stigler asks, any Trajan Bridges news? How about loop back in the 2 o'clock hour for more on that, Tyson. We'll dive back into the Trajan Bridges situation when Locked In kicks off. Cody from the Northeast Corner says, wait, what? The Combine is going to be on TV? Apparently so. The Sooner Sports Network is going to be broadcasting the Crimson Combine. I mean, it feels like everything's available on ESPN Plus these days, right, Grayson?
Oh, yeah.
Have you had the experience where you're flipping through and you see, lacrosse?
Yep.
Lacrosse between two schools that you've never heard of, but the broadcast is available on ESPN Plus, or handball.
Yeah, I'll say this right fast. ESPN Plus, as a broadcaster, has given a lot of younger people some chances to get some opportunities on there. So I love ESPN Plus.
As do I. I love having every sporting event available to watch on live television. It's great to live in the year 2025. All right, folks, hour number 1 of Steelman and Thune at noon is a wrap. Staycation Steely checks in with us next. Keep it here.
Sound off any time of day on the Knippelmeyer Chevrolet text line at 405-651-3439. Right here on the home of Sooner fans.
The Ref Sports Radio Network.
What's up, Ref Army? It's Dusty Dvorak. Do you eat, sleep, and breathe football? KREF is the only place for the most comprehensive daily analysis of Sooner and college football. Catch me every Tuesday and Wednesday during the 10 a.m. hour of The Plank Show as I cut it up with Plank and Josh about everything in the world of Sooner and college football. That's every Tuesday and Wednesday on The Plank Show, and there's only one place to hear it. The Ref, the home of Sooner fans. Download the KREF app today to listen from anywhere.
Insurance companies aren't in the business of saving you money. They're in the business of taking your money. Hi, this is Will Gosney with Yala Gosney Attorneys at Law. Have you ever had an insurance claim and thought, wow, I really am in good hands, or these folks truly are treating me like a neighbor? Well, that's where we can help. We'll deal with the stress. We'll get you back to your normal life. So save our number in your phone, and if you're ever hurt in a wreck, call or text us at 405-800-8080. It's 405-800-8080.
No matter what a strong future looks like to you, you can start building it with a home equity line of credit from Armstrong Bank. There's no time like the present to take advantage of your home equity. From home renovations to wedding expenses, vacations to new cars, the future is yours with a HELOC from Armstrong Bank. Visit armstrong.bank/HELOC to get started. Armstrong Bank. Strength runs in our family. Member FDIC, Equal Housing Lender.
Dreaming of your own backyard oasis? Be the envy of your neighborhood and let Signature Custom Pools help you create the perfect poolside paradise. Their professional design expertise can transport you into your own Mystic Falls, suburban sanctuary, or Mediterranean retreat. Settle into an endless vacation, entertain your family, friends, and get the signature touch with Signature Custom Pools. Call them for a free consultation at 405-898-9098 or visit them online at signaturecustompools.com today.
Get on board. The water is open. It's time to go boating and fishing and leave stress in our wake. Feel the wind as we ride and a fish on the line. Reel in our first catch and feel the sun at our backs. It's get out on the water season. It's time to get on board. Find out where to get on board near you. Visit Take Me Fishing and Discover Boating to learn more. And please recreate responsibly. Get on board. Get on board.
Hey, wouldn't it be great if life came with a remote control? You know, you could hit pause when you needed to, or hit rewind, like that time you knocked down that wasp's nest. Uh-oh. Well, life doesn't always give you time to change the outcome, but prediabetes does. With early diagnosis and a few healthy changes, you can stop prediabetes before it leads to type 2 diabetes. To learn your risk, take the 1-minute test today at doihaveprediabetes.org. Brought to you by the Ad Council and its prediabetes awareness partners.
Tired of your current living situation? Now is the best time to make a move. Interest rates are dropping and Home Creations is offering the best financing around with rates as low as 3.625%. This will save you hundreds per month on your brand new Home Creations home. Live like a champion today by calling Holly at 405-364-9999 for full details.
364-9999. Home Creations.
APR 6.508%.
The world is full of anchors, meant to keep you in place. But the good news is that it's also full of things that remind you not to let them. So every time you raise a Pacifico, let it be a reminder to live life anchors up.
You're listening to the home of Sooner fans, KREF, Norman, Oklahoma, and streaming live on the KREF app.
The Ref Sports Radio Network.
The Ref Radio Sports Network is powered statewide by the insurance adjusters at Brown O'Haver. Fire, wind, theft, or tornado, we can help. Call 405-735-5510. It's time for the STEELMAN and THUNE at noon with Mike Steely and Parker Thune. Hit the guys up on the Riverwind Casino call-in line at 405-329-9000. Text the show on the Knippelmeyer Chevrolet text line at 405-651-3439. Live from the Buffalo Wild Wing Studios, here's Mike Steely and Parker Thune.
Well, that's only half true. Parker Thune, Grayson Singleton here with you on this Friday edition of STEELMAN and THUNE. At noon, I'm out at Riverwind Casino, and ladies and gentlemen, joining us live from his luxurious lazy boy, please welcome the man who holds the world record for most dollars spent at the Augusta National Pro Shop, Michael E. Steely, to give us our daily report on all things Masters. Steely, give us the rundown. What's happening out there on the course?
Rory is making a run. He just eagled 13. He's 5 under on the day after the disaster yesterday when it all started at 15. When he had the chip that went awry and rolled right into the drink. And then he backed it up with another double bogey on 17. And you're thinking, here we go again. Rory should have been in at like 5 under yesterday. Instead, he comes in at even par. Look, you're a veteran. You can't make that mistake on the 13th. That was bad. But today he's coming back, played great. He's had a couple breaks, like on the 12th hole, the ball came out of the shrubs behind, off to the left behind the 12th, the par 3. You know, sometimes you got to get the breaks. He didn't get, 13 or 15 was completely on him yesterday. But he also got a few bad breaks yesterday. But just eagled the 13th. He's 5 under, and Rory is 3 shots off the lead, and he still has the 15th hole ahead, which is a much easier pin position today. So if he can birdie that, he's going to be – he's already right there. He's brought himself back in the tournament. So that's the story of the day. Scheffler's just underway. We just had Justin Rose finish with a 1-under round of 71 today, which is better than his typical second-round score, which is around 74. But the guys in the afternoon are going to have to deal with wind gusts up to 25 miles an hour, which makes that place a lot more difficult.
Now, Steely, explain to me this. For a regional radio star like yourself, a decorated veteran of the broadcasting industry, an individual that is a first-ballot Hall of Famer in Oklahoma broadcasting, how is it that at no point in your illustrious career you have been invited to join the broadcast team at Augusta National? That feels like a slam dunk. After all, there is no one that loves Augusta National quite like Mike Steely.
Well, Vern retired, of course, but Scott Verplank's representing, the state. I know Sooner fans, Oklahoma State Cowboy, but he's a friend of mine, great guy. He is he's on the app coverage, doing a great job, and I'm content with watching. But man, some historic calls. The yes sir in your life. Have you ever seen anything like that? Burns calls, Ben Wright's calls. But it's just a great. You know what's so weird is I didn't grow up. My dad didn't play golf. We weren't a golf playing family. My dad, worked on a farm growing up. Was in the military. Was a mechanic. Best dad ever. He finally took up golf a lot later in life. We used to play, a couple times a week, usually twice on the weekends. He was the only one who had an ace out at Cobblestone Creek playing in our group, which was awesome. But then he started to love to play later in life. But as a kid, I was parked in front of the TV and I watched the 1975 Masters. There weren't many choices back then. You had like 4 channels, right? The networks and like PBS, and that was it. So I watched the 75 Masters, and I remember being like enthralled with it, like the beauty of the course. Jack Nicklaus won. He made a huge putt on 16 to beat Tom Weiskopf. And after that, I just started watching the PGA Tour all the time. So I became a huge golf guy, always dreamed of going to Augusta. As I've told you guys, I've been super blessed and lucky most of my life, with Craig Humphreys being a friend, invited me to the Augusta. I thought one time would be awesome. And then Verplank went, a few years later, and he gave me week-long passes, which was unbelievable. So I've been very fortunate, but I've just always loved that golf tournament. It's so weird. I would have never thought I would have been a huge golf fan because until 1975, I didn't pay any attention to it at all until that 1975 Masters.
Steely, what's the weirdest Masters you've ever watched?
Oh, my gosh. Probably the year Danny frickin' Willett won it. I mean, of all people, Danny Willett came from, like 7 shots back. Everybody collapsed down the stretch. That was probably the worst. I got to tell you, Justin Rose seems like a really nice Englishman, but I don't like the guy, the stupid pointing the club out, and looking down the club, down the side of the club, and the stupid Morgan Stanley commercials. I did not want this guy to win. I shouldn't dislike him, but I really dislike him. I think that dislike increased yesterday when he shot that incredible round of 65. But
has there been a more electric moment?
The best one today has been Rory on 13. He was over in the pine straw after his drive, and then he made the incredible, just cleared Rays Creek, about 6 feet away from the pin, knocked it in for eagle.
What I was going to ask is, has there been a more electric moment thus far than Freddie Couples, who is not a hoe, holing out for eagle on 14 yesterday?
That was amazing, man. Everybody loves Freddie at Augusta. He's got such a casual attitude out there. He's still got a great golf swing. Rory just piped that drive on 15. He'll have a shot here, too. But I would say it's probably Rory's eagle would be the one for today. What's weird is DeChambeau's having a great day. He's 4 under on the day. He's 1 shot back. We talked about Bryson being such a personality now. He's not in any of the featured groups on the app. And I was thinking about that. Hey, wait a minute. This is probably a live thing. Because the other guys I'm looking at are all on the tour or the European tour. And people are, why isn't Bryson on the featured groups? And I just figured, oh, yeah, it's probably live golf. Now, you'll see him. Wait, no, that's Justin Thomas. Okay. You'll see him when the coverage starts at 2, plenty, but he'll probably have like 3 holes, couple holes left by the time he hits ESPN.
Steely, thanks for your inputs. Go enjoy an afternoon of pimento cheese sandwiches and vegging out on the couch.
It has been glorious. I appreciate you guys holding down the fort, complete confidence. You guys are you're Hall of Famers down the road, no doubt. So, yeah, it's been a lot of fun. I've really enjoyed it. And, this is a very selfish way to take a couple of days off, but it's been awesome.
And we're glad for that. Steely, enjoy the rest of your afternoon. We will catch up with you on Monday.
Absolutely. See you guys Monday.
See you, Steely.
All right. That is Mike Steely, live from the expansive 4,000-square-foot Steely Manor up in the villas of Norman, checking in to talk some Masters golf. And Grayson Singleton, I am somebody on the text line. I'm glad Steely's not on the air today to read this text because we would be getting our 1 o'clock old man rant. There's a text in the 405 that said, the only thing more boring than golf is listening to people talk about golf. Well, guess what? For people like you, Steely did you a favor this year. He took Thursday and Friday off so that he wouldn't talk about the Masters over the course of his 2 hours on the radio airwaves. So consider yourself fortunate. You only got 7 minutes of Masters talk today. 7 minutes. I'm sure you can stomach it.
Parker, I feel
elsewhere on the
I was just gonna say I feel like Steely feels as exasperated about people hating on golf as I do about people hating on the NBA.
I mean, I hate on the NBA very regularly.
You do. It wasn't a shot at you. It was more the general public.
Oh, we got a Doug and Norman text. Man, Doug's texts have been Doug's had a crotchety demeanor on the text line this week. Sometimes Doug's in a good mood, sometimes Doug's in a bad mood, at least his text fingers. Doug's text says, Parker, you just used the phrase Quote, when dealing with alternative facts, that was back when we were talking about Nico Iamaleava. I used that phrase tongue-in-cheek, but nonetheless, I'll read the last of Doug's text. There is no such thing as alternative facts. Fact is defined as that which actually exists or the truth. The term alternative facts was created by Republicans during Donald Trump's first term to provide political cover for the lies that were being disseminated by the White House at the time. And if you have any proof that USC or any other school is engaging in tampering, as you stated, please provide those facts. Otherwise, you are engaging in unsubstantiated rumor mongering, which is probably subject to legal liability. That is nothing more than pandering to KREF's OU fan base, which loves to hear negative, unsubstantiated rumors that are negative to USC or other SEC schools. I suspect your sources, as always touted by yourself, are no better than those of the 18-year-old quote-unquote phenom that you tout as OU insiders expert on OU basketball. Did you get it all out, Doug? We good? We move on now? Okay, we're moving on.
Damn.
Holy smokes, man. A&P Mechanic, let's get back to talking Sooner football, because why not? It's the eve of the Crimson Combine. OU spring football is coming to an end. The desert is in sight. We are about to enter the desert. 3 months with no football to speak of until fall camp kicks off. A&P Mechanic on the text line asks, is the Gibson injury that big of an impact on the receiver room? And here, Grayson, is where I want to bring up a question that I know we're running a little short of time this segment. We may have to loop back around on the other side of our conversation with Brandon Drum, who's coming up next segment, to kind of close the loop on this whole conversation. But I was in the shower this morning, and of course, I think the overwhelming majority of the human population would agree that you have your most insightful thoughts while in the shower. There is something about being in the shower that just opens your mind up.
Agreed.
And I was thinking about Giovanni Gibson's injury and how much it's going to affect Oklahoma in 2025, especially if indeed he does miss a significant chunk or the majority of the 2025 season. And I was thinking back to Oklahoma's offenses in the recent past, and it dawned on me. Billy Tubbs used to say that you need 3 first-round picks on a basketball team in order to win a national title. Whether that's true or not, we could debate that till the cows come home. But that was Billy's old mantra. You need 3 first-round picks in order to win a national championship in basketball. I was thinking about the landscape of Oklahoma's skill position talent over the last several years. And I thought, when was the last time? First-round picks in the NFL, you got to be a really special type of dude to be a first-round pick in the NFL. And honestly, these days, it's a lot more about traits than production. Well, not a lot more, but it's more about traits than it's ever been before.
Yeah.
But when's the last time at the skill positions, at the offensive skill positions, Oklahoma has had 3, let's just say, day 1/day 2 draft picks? Because when you think back to some of the greatest offenses that Oklahoma has fielded, you think back to the Halcyon days of Baker Mayfield and Kyler Murray, etc. Yes, you had absolute studs at quarterback, but you know what else you had? You had incredible skill position talent around them.
Yeah.
Oklahoma, in the last several years, I would say the best player that they've had at wideout has been Marvin Mims.
Yes.
Marvin Mims was a second-round draft selection, really good college receiver. You can make the argument, and I would, that he did not get the ball enough while at Oklahoma. At running back, the best running back Oklahoma's had in the last 5 years is probably Eric Gray, who I believe was a 5th-round pick of the New York Giants.
Yes.
So it began to dawn on me that there's been a drought, a bit of a drought. Not necessarily there's not necessarily a total dearth of elite offensive skill position talent, because every so often, you get a guy like Mims or you get a guy like Gray at one of those spots. But the hallmark for Oklahoma with some of those electric offenses of years gone by was having multiple dudes that were walking highlight reels. CeeDee Lamb, Hollywood Brown, Joe Mixon, D.D. Westbrook, Samaje Perine, Mark Andrews, all of those guys played on some of the same teams during that span at Oklahoma from, I would say, 2015 to 2019, when the Sooners were borderline unstoppable on the offensive side of the football.
And you look down the pike and you see, okay, where is that going to come from? Now, I don't think you need to have, I don't know what the football equivalent of that Billy Tubbs quote that you quoted would be, but it's not just alarming, it's very evident that last year's team probably didn't have that. Maybe if Nick Anderson was healthy, he could have turned into something like that. We don't know. Maybe we'll find out next year. But this year's team, for sure, you can probably say there is not a day one or day two pick that is going to contribute on a week-to-week basis. Maybe Elijah Thomas turns into it his sophomore or his junior season if he remains at Oklahoma for that long. But for this year and what we're projecting, that's not really there. And also, I'll take what you said a step forward, Parker. There has generally been a day one or day two pick, at least one, that we consider on the offensive line as well. You go back to Creed Humphrey, Anton Harrison, Tyler Guyton when he was there, when he was here. So those guys, there's also been that as well, and that also we can probably say for sure in the projected starting five definitely is not on this roster this year.
I want to table this because I think this is a very interesting conversation that I want to get back to. I have some more opinions, some more nuance that I want to explore on the entire conversation. But we got to get Brandon Drum on the Riverwind Casino jackpot line coming up next. We'll get his thoughts on Oklahoma's recruiting efforts in the 2026 cycle. Sooners are in a bit of a drought right now when it comes to commitments. Last commit was Daniel Odom in late January. They're hoping to get back on the board soon. Could that happen before the month of April is up? We will explore that and much more with Brandon on the other side. So keep it here on the Ref, the home of Sooner fans, and come on back for much more ahead.
Hi, folks. This is Larry Knippelmeyer here at Knippelmeyer Chevrolet in Blanchard, USA. Conveniently located just 15 minutes south of Oklahoma City and 10 minutes west of Norman. With all the talk of inflation, market crashes, and tariffs, it's no wonder we're all afraid to make that new vehicle purchase. Now, with that being said, there will probably never be a better time to purchase your new Chevrolet at Knippelmeyer Chevrolet. No price increase or tariffs on our huge selection of in-stock vehicles. Pickups, SUVs, cars, and even Corvettes, all marked down and ready to sell. Interest rates are good, used vehicle trade-ins are high, and rebates and incentives are back on most new Chevrolets. So hop in that old vehicle and come see us at Knippelmeyer Chevrolet in Blanchard, where nobody beats our deal. Or give us a call at 405-485-3333 or catch us on the web at knippelmeyer.com. Chevrolet, together let's drive.
Imagine one step, and suddenly a fall turns into a fracture. For many, osteoporosis is a hidden threat, weakening bones silently until it's too late. At the Ortho Central Bone Health Clinic, we believe in personalized care to keep bones strong and resilient. Led by advanced practitioner Amanda Boyd, our team specializes in detection and personalized treatment plans, from bone density testing to strengthening bones after a fracture. Take charge of your bone health today. Call Ortho Central's Bone Health Clinic and let's build better bones together.
Are you looking to elevate your golf game in 2025? Westwood Golf Course in Norman can help. Now's the time to get your annual memberships, and they're open 7 days a week. The 50th annual Westwood Invitational is July 4th, 5th, and 6th, so be sure to register early this year. Play after 2 p.m. for just $28 or after 5 p.m. for just $23. You can always book your tee time at westwoodparkgolf.com, and don't forget to visit the Turn Grill inside Westwood, one of the local gyms in Norman. Exciting news for car buyers in Norman and surrounding areas. Sooner Kia of Norman is under new management with new construction coming soon. At Sooner Kia, they believe that every customer deserves excellent service and expert knowledge about their incredible Kia models. Whether you're interested in the sleek K5, the versatile Sportage, or the eco-friendly EV9 or EV6, they've got you covered. Join the Sooner Kia family today and discover how they're making car buying in Norman and OKC easier and more enjoyable than ever. Visit SoonerKia.com, where great deals and exceptional service meet.
As Oklahoma grows, we want to grow with it, and serving part-time in the Oklahoma Army National Guard is perfect for that. Our service provides money for school so we can be ready for a new career or improve our current one. We learn valuable teamwork skills and get hands-on with some of the latest tech. And we also help the communities we live in recover whenever they are in need. Our service is helping to keep Oklahoma and ourselves moving forward. Learn more at nationalguard.com/OK.
Sponsored by the Oklahoma Army National Guard. Aired by the Oklahoma Association of Broadcasters and this station.
Whether you're celebrating a special occasion, desire a great postgame, or after-work dining experience, the Ranch Steakhouse is the winning choice. At Ranch Steakhouse, we're grilling up the best USDA prime steaks in Oklahoma. Juicy, flavorful, and cooked to perfection. Pair that with an unbeatable atmosphere, a killer drink selection, and a wine list of over 400 personally curated bottles. Whether you're toasting the game or winding down after a big day, Ranch Steakhouse is where champions eat.
Looking for a better way to bank? Join OU Federal Credit Union and experience the difference. If you are tired of hidden fees and impersonal service at your big bank, well, you deserve better, and that's what you'll find at OU Federal Credit Union. They offer competitive rates on loans and savings accounts. Plus, they're a local member-owned institution. Join OU Federal Credit Union today and discover the benefits of being a part of a community that cares. Visit OUFCU.com or stop by the branches today. Member savings insured up to $250,000 by NCUA.
I tell you, if Doug and Norman is good at one thing, it is getting the entire Knippelmeyer Chevrolet text line to coalesce against him from time to time. Boy, they've been at his throat. Ronnie Crimson said, Doug used way too many big words for a Friday afternoon. Please just drink a beer, Doug. The mountains are blue, and the Sooners play Vandy tonight. That they do, Ronnie Crimson. That they do. Parker Thune, Grayson Singleton here with you on Steelman and Thune at noon. If you're just joining us, Mike Steely has taken Thursday and Friday of this week off to watch the Masters from home. More power to him. I have to respect it. However, that does not interrupt all of our regular rhythms here on Steelman and Thune at noon, one of which is our weekly Friday conversation with Brandon Drum, the co-publisher at OUinsider.com, joining us via the Riverwind Casino jackpot line to talk some OU football and recruiting. And let's start with this, Brandon. It's no secret. It's out there. Oklahoma has two of the top edge rushers in the entire 2026 cycle on campus right now in Luke Wafel from the state of New Jersey and Jake Krell from the state of Florida. Where, in your estimation, are things at between the Sooners and Miguel Chavis and that pair of very talented defensive end targets?
Well, I mean, Jake Krell, I think you and I both, we talked about it probably more than anybody else where we think that's trending, and that's trending towards Oklahoma. He finds a way to show up to Oklahoma. It feels like every other month, if not every month, at least for a few days. He will be in town for 4 days this time. He got there Thursday. He got there Wednesday night. Will remain there all the way through Sunday. So this is big for Oklahoma. He's the number 27 overall player in the country. We got to witness him in person at the 5-Star Challenge in Jacksonville last summer, and he didn't disappoint. He was awesome against some of the best offensive linemen in the country. Now, it's not a done deal, obviously. I mean, Florida, they're in it pretty hard. I'm trying to think everybody off the top of my head who's in this, but it feels like OU, Florida, Michigan, Ohio State, Penn State, like those are, the normal culprits when it comes to defensive line. That's what you see there. With Luke Wafel, it's an OU, Penn State, OU, Penn State, Ohio State battle for the most part. Like it's either he's going to stay up in the Northeast or he's going to go to Oklahoma. Now, his brother is now at Penn State. He transferred from Michigan to Penn State. That naturally gives them the leg up. The thing is Jim Knowles is at Penn State as well. There's a relationship there that goes pretty deep. So OU's in an uphill climb to get Wayful, but you know what? You land Jake Krell, and let's say at the end of the day they get, I don't know, KJ Ford to eventually commit to Oklahoma, which for the longest time has felt like Oklahoma's trending in the right direction. But again, he goes to Duncanville, so I'll believe that when I see it. You get those two, but then you grab a Marcus Overton, a Valdon Sohn, and maybe you get lucky and get Deuce Geralds and that defensive tackle, and you're sitting really, really good in that 2026 front four for Oklahoma.
Parker, go ahead.
Oh, I was waiting for you there.
Oh, no, sorry.
Okay, Brandon, on to the next. All good. On to the next thing. The Crimson Combine this week has one official visitor. There is one prospect that's going to be taking his official visit to Oklahoma. Obviously, many unofficial visitors coming from all across, within state lines and outside. But the one official visitor this weekend is IMG Academy offensive lineman Breck Kalaje. Now, that's not a name that has been heavy on Oklahoma's radar, but he's held the OU offer for quite some time. Longtime target for Bill Bedenbaugh and company. Do you sense that the Sooners could make a legitimate move there, even with schools like Miami and Florida pushing very, very hard to keep him in the Sunshine State?
Oh, man, that's the the million-dollar question. Naturally, you would like, if you're Oklahoma, to land him. He is he's not a top 250 kid. He's just a four-star guy. But, again, he's at IMG Academy. Oklahoma has a commit on the offensive line already at IMG. So that could, help Oklahoma a little bit. Tennessee is a team to watch a little bit there. He's got an official visit set up with them. You named it, Miami, Georgia. Those programs are pushing pretty hard. You don't want to get your hopes up there. That's the thing. You don't want to get your hopes up. Oklahoma has a chance to make a big splash there, but they do really well with official visits. Getting another IMG Academy offensive lineman would just be something that we haven't seen Bill Bedenbaugh do, right? Or Oklahoma just load up on IMG guys. I know that Brent Venables has done really, really well in the state of Florida. His staff is really good. They got those connections while they were at Clemson, and they've built on those things. So, I don't want to get the hopes up there. I think Oklahoma has a shot, but anytime I see Georgia, Tennessee, Florida lined up for official visits, you got to take a step back and go, okay, this thing's probably not going to be decided for a while.
Brandon, we talked yesterday, by the way. Brandon Drum, co-publisher at OU Insider, is our guest here on the Riverwind Casino Jackpot Line. We talked at length yesterday about Cooper Hackett and how he has shown up to Norman twice now in the past, 5 days or so. Mm-hmm. Parker is of the opinion that this is going to be one that Oklahoma should get. How impressed are you about the Fort Gibson product, and do you share that same sentiment?
One, yes. Parker and I were sitting there talking. His dad, I was walking by, and we're not, we can't talk or, have long conversations with recruits or their families on campus or whatever. But his dad said hello to me because I know him, and, he follows me and my son on Instagram and all that type of stuff. And so I said, hey, how are you, and just kept walking. But at the end of the day, he's a freak. He really is. If you go watch I challenge anybody to go watch Hackett play basketball.
Mm-hmm. Yep.
It is super, super impressive to watch this ginormous 6'6", 270-pound behemoth run up and down the court and jump and explode the way that he does. There's a reason why all these Power 4 programs are offering him. But he's an Oklahoma kid at heart. He keeps showing back up to Oklahoma. Offers new. he just keeps showing up more and more to practice. So I think it's going to be really hard to not see him follow in the footsteps of the great Teddy Lehman from Fort Gibson and end up being a Sooner.
Now, Brandon, as we shift our focus to the Crimson Combine tomorrow and what's actually going to happen on the field as opposed to in the closed-door meetings with recruits, what do you think the average fan is going to be able to take away from the Combine experience tomorrow? Obviously, it's not going to be live 11-on-11 action for 60 minutes like we're accustomed to, but do you expect that some of the things we're going to see will at least give us some insight into what we can expect this Oklahoma team to look like come the fall?
I do. Anytime you get some 7-on-7 going, it's great. So you're going to see some live 7-on-7 if you're an OU fan. The weather is going to be amazing. So I think if you're going to show up or you have plans or you're thinking about it or you're on the fence, do it. You're going to get half-line competition, which is just center guard tackle to the right, center guard tackle to the left, right? And so they cut it in half. They'll have the right side of the defensive line and the left side of the offensive line will go at each other, and then vice versa. It'll be run heavy. They're going to make stops and do all that type of stuff. You'll get to see some live action. You'll get to see one-on-ones with the offensive line and the defensive line, something that I think OU fans are going to love. Those things, Parker, you and I get to see that all the time at camps, and that is the highlight of the camp, right? Like, we love watching the offensive line and defensive line reps one-on-one. Intense, physical. You get to see some of the improvement. It's not as a whole. You're not going to get to see, like you said, 11-on-11, but you're going to get to see the improvement that some of these guys made. The Jake Sextons of the world that have done a phenomenal job this spring, staying healthy. He's done yoga, and you're going to get to see the results of that in a one-on-one going up against an R. Mason Thomas. Sure, R. Mason may win a rep or two, but I promise you Jake Sexton will win some too. You'll get to see Derek Simmons versus whoever, whether it's Marvin Jones Jr. or Danny Okoye. You'll get to see Eddie Pierre-Louis versus David Stone. Like, these are fun matchups that I think fans need to go. You get to see, you get to watch. They're exciting. If you don't know what you're watching, it doesn't matter. You get to see some of the most intense things that you'll see at a practice ever, and you get to see it live and in person. So I recommend going and doing it.
And, Brandon, the Crimson Combine this year is the culmination of spring practice, like the spring game would be. And we've talked about all the big stories and some of the injuries and all of that have come out of spring camp. To you, what has been the most surprising thing that has come out of spring camp this year?
Oh, man, that's a great question. You know what? I think you have to look at the freshman corners and Cortland Guillory and Malik Hawkins and how they played this spring. That would be one of the first things that come to mind. Unfortunately, I think Javonte Gibson, just being the guy that Parker and I thought he was going to be when we first saw him and he got the portal, it was like, dude, this guy is really good. It didn't matter what level. He was fun to watch. And it's very, very unfortunate that he got injured and probably going to miss the vast majority of the 2025 season. So, but outside of that, I think the offensive line, the improvement that it made. Last year, all you heard was just how bad the offensive line was, how bad the offense was. Quite the contrary this year. We've seen it. Parker and I have seen it in person. It's so much better. You're going to see some fun offense. You're going to see the defense is still phenomenal. It's a top 20 defense in the country. So, like, they're doing things against a good defense. So I think that should be encouraging to OU fans. I also would say that don't get your hopes up too high. Let's see what they do against Michigan before you start proclaiming that they're going to win 10 games or whatever. And I think if they beat Michigan, I think then the whole nation's going to hop on the bandwagon. But that's probably where I would be. And I think the other guy that I look at is James Nesta. I think James Nesta has been phenomenal this spring. They need help. They need depth at linebacker, and he's provided that in a good way.
Brandon, last question for you. obviously you mentioned Giovanni Gibson's injury and its impact on the wide receiver room. One transfer receiver, or can you see a world where Oklahoma takes two?
I think they would like to take two if the numbers work out, but I think one is probably your best bet, just from a financial aspect as well. Like, I think, look, you got Burks. You're going to have Elijah Thomas, right? You're going to have, help me out, Parker Keontae. And then who else am I missing off the top of my head?
Isaiah Satania.
Yeah, Isaiah Satania. You're going to have all those guys back and be pretty good as far as starters go. You got Manny Choice coming off the bench, probably a bigger guy. You need to grab one guy that can come in and be maybe that 6th, 7th guy, or you would hope they would come in and be that one of the starting 4, right? But that's a perfect world if you can get a second guy to come in and compete for a starting spot. But I think you want to get one that 100% can, and then everything else you just kind of, it's icing on it's cherry on top.
All right, that is Brandon Drum, co-publisher at OUinsider.com, joins us every Friday for insight on OU football and recruiting. Brandon, thanks as always. We'll catch up with you next Friday.
Appreciate you guys.
All right, and with that, we will hit our final break at the 1 o'clock hour. When we return, more of your text on the Knippelmeyer Chevrolet text line, 405-651-3439. And getting back to one of the topics of discussion that we had at the very top of the hour, does Oklahoma have the horses at the offensive skill positions to have a top 5 offense in the SEC come the fall? We'll dive into that from all angles on the other side. You're listening to The Ref, the home of Sooner fans.
Do you eat, sleep, and breathe Sooner football? We do too. This is The Ref, home of Sooner fans.
For the professional, it's not enough to just possess knowledge. That's why at GMC, we seek to refine it, to wield its power, to redefine its boundaries, while pushing the limits. And we put this knowledge to the test in every GMC Sierra by engineering each one to outperform your expectations. So you know you're getting precision and durability when you need it most. And that's what makes the GMC Sierra the truck worth knowing. We are professional grade. See your Oklahoma GMC dealers.
For 3 generations, the John M. Ireland and Son Funeral Home and Chapel in Morris continued to serve the community by giving back to local schools, charitable organizations, and first responders.
We provide pre-planning for funerals and cremation services at the most reasonable prices.
We are proud to be a family-owned and operated funeral home.
Award-winning funeral home year after year, our family believes in serving the people of our community.
I'm John Ireland.
And I'm Solon Daniels.
You've got our word on it.
I'm Ben Affleck, and I want to thank you for joining me and supporting Paralyzed Veterans of America.
I joined the Navy to serve my country. While parachuting with my platoon, my parachute didn't open, and I broke my neck.
Thanks to PVA, paralyzed veterans are getting specialized medical care and treatments, the jobs they want, and the accessible vehicles and homes they need.
I just don't think my family would be as happy as they are without the support that I received from Paralyzed Veterans of America.
Learn more at pva.org.
Hey, what's up, y'all? I'm Kelly Clarkson, and as the daughter of a school teacher, I know just how important education is. No matter how old you are or your situation, continuing to learn will enrich your life and help remove barriers you didn't even know were there. So much opportunity, y'all. Whether it's a foreign language, history, or a different way to look at things, take some time each day to learn something new. This message is courtesy of the United States Air Force.
Children are the greatest joy and our best hope for a better future. Friends, they are the future. But did you know that millions of kids are facing hunger every day? Food is not just food. It's energy, health, confidence, hope, and even love. Yes, love.
Thank you!
Learn more about how No Kid Hungry is helping end child hunger in America at helpnokidhungry.org.
Don't you wish your life came with a warning app?
Stop. That dog does not want to be petted.
A heads up before something bad happens.
You should not send that text.
Uh-oh. Life doesn't always give you time to change the outcome, but prediabetes does. With early diagnosis and a few healthy changes, you can reverse prediabetes and prevent or delay type 2 diabetes. To learn your risk, take the 1-minute test today at doihaveprediabetes.org. Brought to you by the Ad Council and its prediabetes awareness partners.
When you struggle with Crohn's disease or ulcerative colitis, you get used to not feeling 100%. I thought that was how it had to be. Until I discovered the Crohn's and Colitis Foundation. They told me about new medications that weren't around back when I was diagnosed. They helped me find a specialist who gave me a new treatment plan. I'm feeling better than I ever thought I could. Don't settle for not feeling your best. Take action today to take care of yourself. Spill your guts. Learn more at spillyourguts.org.
Don't miss out on OKC's hottest entertainment at the Showplace Theater with acts like Boyz II Men, April 18th. America, April 26th. Patti LaBelle, May 2nd. And Scotty McCreery, May 10th. Riverwind is OKC's favorite casino experience.
Parker, Thune, Grayson Singleton here with you here on STEELMAN and THUNE at noon on a Friday. I'm out at Riverwind Casino, OKC's premier gaming destination off I-35 and Highway 9. 832 Mike kicks off our final segment with a banger on the Knippelmeyer Chevrolet text line. Please hold all wide receivers out of the combine tomorrow. Otherwise, we will hear that every one of them rolled an ankle walking onto the field. Yeah, as we mentioned earlier in the week, 10 of 13 scholarship wide receivers at Oklahoma have been afflicted with some sort of injury at some point throughout spring practice. So health is a paramount concern. We know Oklahoma is going to bring in some reinforcements at receiver in the spring portal. But all of this goes back to the question that I kind of left hanging at the end of the first segment of this hour, Grayson, which is, does Oklahoma have the horses to have a great offense, to have a top 5 offense in the SEC in 2025? Because I think you can always expect that the offense at Oklahoma is going to be good, right? You can always expect that they're going to be able to put up points, move the football with some regularity, and help you win football games, not be a total liability. Now, in 2024, they were a total liability, but obviously the standard at Oklahoma is high-level offense. However, if Oklahoma is going to elevate to that upper tier of the SEC, how good do you realistically think this offense has to be, Grayson? Because as I look at it, you're going to have an awesome defense. I think we all can concur with that assessment. Oklahoma should be one of the top defensive programs in college football this fall. Do they need to have a great offense? And if they do need to have a great offense, do you see the pieces there?
Okay, that's a lot of questions tied into one. Here's what I will say to the first question is, do they have the horses to be a top 5 offense? Right now, I would say no, because you just lost your presumed starting X receiver, and we have no earthly idea what the offensive line is going to be. That also in conjunction with the fact that you've got a new offensive coordinator and a new quarterback. So there's a lot going on here before you actually get to the season that I'm going to say, in terms of top 5 offense, no. I'm not willing to go there quite yet. Now, do they have to be successful? That depends on how you define successful. Here's what I will say, though. It has to be a lot more complimentary than it was last year. And when I say a lot, I mean a ton more. Because defenses are going to break down. Defenses are not going to have their A game every single game. Just ask Oklahoma against LSU. In the regular season finale. So I'm not willing to count on the defense being as dominant as it was a season ago. Maybe it can, but I've already expressed my concern with losing Danny Stutzman and Billy Bowman, not just because they can't be replaced as players, but because their leadership has yet to be proven that can be replaced, and those intangibles and how that resonates and reverberates within the rest of the defense. So There's a couple of steps back. You've already lost your ex-wide receiver there. So I don't know. Again, to me, this is still an 8-9 win team at its max, right as it stands right now.
I think Oklahoma needs an offensive player at a skill position that truly, genuinely strikes fear into the hearts of opposing defensive coordinators and their players. For my money, Grayson, Oklahoma hasn't had that since CeeDee Lamb. I mean, they've had some good players since then. Do not get me wrong. Nick Anderson's 2023 season was fantastic.
Mm-hmm.
Marvin Mims, when he was getting the ball, he was dangerous, man. Ramondre Stevenson was a really, really fun back there for a little while in Norman. Eric Gray, man, he had a couple of sensational performances in the 2022 season that was otherwise so tumultuous for Oklahoma. But I'm talking about a guy that, like, you have to know where he is on the field every single snap. And you cannot look past him or disregard him or minimize his presence for a split second. Otherwise, he'll beat you. That's what CeeDee Lamb was at Oklahoma. Particularly in 2019 as a junior, there was such a jump that he took from his sophomore year to his junior year. Junior year, CeeDee Lamb, any other year in the history of college football would have won the Biletnikoff Award. It just so happened that he popped off in the same year that Jamar Chase and Joe Burrow and Justin Jefferson were rewriting record books down in Baton Rouge, and Chase was the one that walked away with the Biletnikoff. But CeeDee Lamb was dynamic. You knew he could hurt you at any of the three levels on the football field. You saw it in the Kansas State game in 2019, which kickstarted a massive comeback that Oklahoma ultimately couldn't complete. But here's a guy that could take a random bubble screen that wasn't even very well blocked, 75 yards to the crib, right? Or he just as easily could get behind a safety and get wide open, free and clear for a deep ball.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
He was somebody that could hurt you in a million different ways. And so if you lost track of CeeDee Lamb, even for a second, you were going to pay. And you knew you were going to pay. Can Oklahoma find a guy like that? Is there a guy like that on this roster? I'm hopeful, right? Like, I'm hopeful that Elijah Thomas turns out to be that at some point. I'm certainly hopeful that Gavin Sawchuk can return to form because that was a dangerous dude down the stretch in 2023. But, like, right now, to me, the big concern is not necessarily whether Oklahoma's going to be able to have a good offense. I firmly believe they will. I think they're going to have a good offense in 2025. I think they will have, at minimum, a standard run-of-the-mill, middle-of-the-road offense by SEC standards, which with that defense should be good enough to win you a lot of football games. But when it comes time to go toe-to-toe in crunch time with an elite opponent that has legit national championship aspirations, of which there will be many in the SEC, who's going to be the guy that you force-feed the ball to? Who's going to be the guy that you know when you get in a sticky situation like that, you're going to be able to get the ball to and he's going to make you a play? That guy hasn't really existed at Oklahoma in a while now. I would say Drake Stoops in 2023 is probably the closest thing to that Oklahoma has had going back to CeeDee Lamb's tenure at OU. But, man, I think why Giovanni Gibson's injury hurts so much is because there was hope that he could be that for Oklahoma. And that feels like maybe a little bit of over-optimism for a guy that came in via Arkansas Pine Bluff in the transfer portal. But anybody that got to watch Giovanni Gibson on the practice field this spring before he succumbed to that injury would tell you, yep, that's a different dude. That is a different killer than Oklahoma has had at receiver in quite a while. And so absent that in your offense, at least for the first chunk of the 2025 season, Grayson, I think the onus is going to be on Emmett Jones, certainly, and on DeMarco Murray as he tries to juggle a very crowded backfield. to try and identify a guy that can be, without question, regardless of the circumstance, regardless of the opponent, regardless of the individual matchup, a problem for opposing defenses. Ben Arbuckle's scheme is going to get guys open. It's going to create chunk plays. It's going to create first downs. It's going to create long drives and points, ultimately. But sometimes that's just not enough. And especially in the SEC, generally, that's not enough. You got to have a dude that you can turn to in those critical scenarios who's going to go make you a play because he's just better than the guy he lines up against.
Eric in the OC agrees with me. This is my first thought, too. It needs to be Burks. Deion Burks, I think, this is going to be a telltale season for him as to can he be sort of a go-to guy. We know he can run the middle of the field. We know that he can get those 8-9-yard drag route, curl route, that kind of thing. You can use him as an extension of the run game with the bubble screen and whatnot. But can he legit be a downfield primary threat in the SEC? So I think this is a big year for him. But here's what that Michigan game is going to tell me. And this Michigan game is going to tell me a lot about how the course of this season could go. Yes, Michigan is losing just Hall of Fame level talent on the defensive line with Kenneth Grant and Mason Graham going into the draft, but they're still going to be solid on that defensive line. If Oklahoma's offensive line cannot hold up in that game, everything else is null and void on the perimeter. Everything else is null and void from the running back room if the offensive line is a turnstile similar to what it was last year. John Mateer's not going to have any time. The receivers aren't going to have any time to get downfield. The running backs aren't going to find any room, which maybe that'll matter less to Xavier Robinson than it does a guy like a Gavin Sawchuk, but we'll see. This all is going to start, this whole resurrection of Oklahoma offense returning to what it had been in the previous, half decade going back to Baker with Kyler and whatnot. It's going to hinge upon, and I know this is so obvious, but I think it needs to be stated since we're talking about the skill position players. The offensive line has to be more than serviceable. It can't just be serviceable. It has to be more than serviceable this year. Otherwise, you're going to run into a lot of the same problems you ran into in 2024.
And Burks was a guy. I'm glad somebody on the text line brought him up. Burks was a guy that was picking up first-round buzz prior to the 2024 season.
Yep.
I mean, there were mock drafts out there that had Deion Burks in the first round. Now, obviously, the 2024 season did not go how he hoped. It didn't go how really anybody with a vested interest in Oklahoma football hoped. But if Deion Burks is 100% healthy, he is certainly the guy that I think has the highest potential, absent Giovanni Gibson, to be that go-to guy. But Minnesota Eddie on the text line, there you go. He agrees. OU has 0 stars / go-to studs on offense currently. No dudes have emerged to this point.
Mm-hmm.
A 405 listener adds, I think Burks can be that guy. We had massive trouble getting the ball to any receivers last year because of quarterback play, because of offensive play calling, and because of offensive line play. You alleviate some of those issues, and I think Burks can be a real weapon, which goes back to what you were mentioning right there, Grayson. Tim from Nebraska says, I think the offense will be better than good, but a tick under great. And I would probably concur with that assessment in general. And again, you hope that's good enough. But again, is the Oklahoma fan base going to be satisfied with good enough? Because in my mind, good enough is 8 wins, right? That's good enough to absolutely, beyond a shadow of a doubt, ensure that Brent Venables is coming back in 2026 and that you've stabilized this thing a little bit. But is the Oklahoma fan base going to be content with winning 8 games in 2025? I think that's a realistic outlook right now.
Probably not.
9 games, 10 games? Yeah, realistic. Maybe a little bit of a stretch in this SEC. But good enough? Is that actually good enough for the average Oklahoma football fan? That's kind of the eternal question around here. All right, Grayson and I aren't going anywhere. We have another hour with all of you coming up as we dive into primarily OU recruiting talk on Locked In. I'm out here at Riverwind Casino. Thanks to Riverwind for their sponsorship. Thanks to Lasher Home Comfort Systems for bringing you the first hour of Steelman and Thune at noon. And thanks to Hightower Clinical for bringing you the second hour. Locked In kicks off on the other side. Keep it right here on the Ref, the home of Sooner fans.